Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever walked into a room and felt a heavy silence wrap around you? Or achieved something good only for things to mysteriously fall apart soon after? Some dismiss it as coincidence. Others whisper of unseen forces. Cultures across continents, whether in the East, West, or deep tribal roots, speak of one ancient phenomenon with remarkable consistency: the evil eye. Is it just superstition passed down through fearful generations? Or is there a hidden truth behind the silent stares that break what they cannot build? Could envy, masked as admiration, truly carry energy powerful enough to disrupt your life? Tonight we aren't just questioning folklore, we are confronting what millions still fear but few dare to explore. Brace yourselves, because what you believe by the end of this message may challenge everything you thought you knew about protection, perception, and invisible influence. The evil eye is one of the oldest and most widespread beliefs in human history, deeply embedded in the folklore, traditions, and spiritual practices of cultures across the globe. From the deserts of the Middle East to the lush jungles of South America and the temples of South Asia to the islands of the Mediterranean, the evil eye has persisted through generations, quietly influencing behavior, rituals, and even architecture. At its core, the evil eye refers to the idea that envy or excessive admiration, whether intentional or unintentional, can bring harm to the person being admired. It is believed that a powerful glance, when fueled by jealousy or ill will, can transfer destructive energy to its target, resulting in misfortune, illness, or emotional turmoil. In ancient Mesopotamia, the concept of the evil eye was already known, with amulets being worn to ward off its effects. The Greeks called it baskania and incorporated blue-eye charms into their jewelry and homes. Romans carved protective phrases and symbols into their buildings. In Latin American cultures, the belief in mal de ojo is still alive today, with many mothers tying red ribbons or using eggs in cleansing rituals for their children. In India, black dots are painted on children's foreheads to deflect admiration and prevent harm. Despite the differences in language, geography, and religion, the core idea remains strikingly similar. Unchecked envy is not just an emotion, it is a force. This belief system rests on the understanding that humans are not just physical beings, but energetic ones too. Many cultures teach that our words, thoughts, and emotions carry vibrations that can affect others. When someone looks at another with intense jealousy, especially when the object of that jealousy is beauty, success, health, or happiness, that negative vibration is believed to latch onto them like an invisible curse. It's not always done with malice. Sometimes even a well-meaning compliment, if spoken without spiritual balance or protection, is thought to open a doorway to this harmful energy. What makes the evil eye so fascinating is that it's not limited to primitive or uneducated societies. Even today, celebrities, athletes, and public figures carry charms, wear talismans, or perform spiritual rituals before major events. The idea that we must protect ourselves from invisible harm isn't dismissed outright. It's quietly acknowledged even in modern spaces. Skeptics argue that the evil eye is just a psychological effect, where people blame bad luck on a scapegoat. Yet, the fact that it has endured for thousands of years across diverse civilizations suggests there's something universal about the human experience of envy and fear of unseen consequences. The evil eye, whether viewed as myth, energy, or spiritual truth, continues to serve as a reminder that not all danger is visible and not all eyes that watch us wish us well. It teaches that in a world obsessed with appearances, protection may lie in awareness, humility, and the unseen armor of inner strength. It is believed that intense negative energy or jealousy can spiritually or energetically affect a person's life, causing loss, misfortune, or illness. This concept is not just folklore, it is woven into the spiritual fabric of many cultures across the globe. In these traditions, human beings are not only physical entities, but energetic ones as well, constantly emitting and absorbing energy from their environment and the people around them. When someone is the target of deep envy or malice, especially if they are successful, happy, or admired. It is believed that this energetic attack can disturb their internal balance. The result may not be immediately visible, but it can manifest over time as a series of setbacks, emotional exhaustion, confusion, or even health problems without any apparent medical cause. Many spiritual systems explain this as a form of energetic contamination. Just as physical toxins can weaken the body, spiritual toxins such as jealousy, hatred, or resentment directed towards someone can weaken the soul or aura. In many belief systems, the aura is seen as the protective energetic shield that surrounds a person. When jealousy is projected with intensity, it is believed to pierce this shield, making the person more vulnerable to negative experiences. This could explain why some individuals, after a moment of high visibility, praise, or public admiration, suddenly experience a downward spiral in their personal or professional life. The admiration was not balanced with protection or humility, and the invisible weight of others' envy found a doorway. And there are countless stories across cultures that point to this phenomenon. A child who is unusually beautiful or bright may fall ill suddenly after receiving too much attention. A newlywed couple who celebrates lavishly may begin facing mysterious problems in their relationship. A business person who gains rapid success may start encountering strange losses and betrayals. In all these cases, communities often interpret the misfortune as a result of being exposed to negative spiritual energy rooted in jealousy. Rituals, prayers, or cleansing practices are then performed to break or remove the effect of the harmful energy. Some spiritual teachers emphasize that jealousy isn't merely an emotion. It is an active transmitting force. And when it is not checked or transmuted into something positive, it naturally seeks a target. This is why many traditions encourage practices such as gratitude, modesty, and energetic protection. People are taught to be mindful of how they display their blessings or success, not out of fear, but out of awareness. At the same time, they are encouraged to cover themselves spiritually through prayer, faith, or specific rituals that act like energetic shields against harm. Items like salt, incense, certain verses, or symbols are believed to absorb or repel toxic energy before it reaches the core of one's being. In a world where envy is often disguised as admiration and negativity travels silently, these beliefs remind people that spiritual hygiene is just as essential as physical hygiene. The effects of jealousy may not always be scientifically provable, but their impact is deeply felt. For those who believe, acknowledging and protecting against this invisible energy is not superstition, it is survival. While science may dismiss it as psychological, millions testify to sudden disruptions after receiving excessive attention, praise, or envy. Across countless cultures, stories are shared of people who, after being admired too openly or praised too much, suddenly experience loss, illness, or inexplicable misfortune. From a scientific perspective, this might be categorized as coincidence, confirmation bias, or the power of suggestion. However, for those who've lived through it, the timing is too precise, too jarring to be ignored. A healthy child suddenly falling ill after being admired by visitors, a successful individual experiencing an unexplainable downfall after receiving widespread attention, or a new home or car quickly bringing trouble. All of these are seen not as chance, but as signs of the evil eye. In many spiritual and traditional systems, excessive praise without protection is considered dangerous. The belief is not that admiration itself is harmful, but that admiration, when mixed with envy or insincerity, releases subtle spiritual forces that disturb balance. This belief isn't based on science, but on generations of observation, storytelling, and spiritual awareness. People describe these moments as something shifting, as though an unseen hand moved events out of alignment. The eyes, in many cultures, are seen as windows of the soul and transmitters of intent. So, a look that carries jealousy is believed to send disruptive energy into the life of another, especially if that person is unaware, unprotected, or overly exposed. Science focuses on what can be measured, but human experience includes emotional and spiritual realms that often escape such precision. The evil eye might not leave physical fingerprints, but those who believe in its impact argue that it leaves emotional and energetic scars. And in a world becoming increasingly obsessed with image, likes, and admiration, this concern becomes more relevant than ever. Public praise, viral success, or even the appearance of a perfect life can trigger unseen responses from those who are watching silently but not celebrating genuinely. The moment someone's life becomes the object of public desire, it also becomes a magnet for invisible resistance. Many testimonies share the same haunting progression. Things were going well, attention came suddenly, and then everything started unraveling. It's not just one incident, but a series of disruptions, poor health, tension in relationships, accidents, or financial strain that follows in a confusing pattern. When these stories echo from every continent and community, their consistency makes them difficult to dismiss. Whether one sees it as energy, vibration, or spiritual interference, the truth remains that not all admiration is harmless. Defenses against this phenomenon vary, from prayers and charms to salt rituals and incense cleansing. But perhaps the most powerful defense is awareness, recognizing that not every compliment is pure, not every admirer is well-meaning, and not every moment of glory is free from consequences, gives individuals the insight to live with balance. Humility, gratitude, and discretion act as shields, keeping one's energy grounded even when attention finds them. In the end, while science may not acknowledge it, lived experience speaks volumes. The evil eye might not be visible, but for millions, its effects are all too real. Spiritual traditions often recommend protection methods like prayers, symbols, or energetic boundaries to guard against unseen harm. These practices are rooted in centuries of observation and experience, passed down from generation to generation as part of a deeper understanding of the invisible realms that influence the physical world. The concept behind them is not simply superstition, but a recognition that we live in a world where not all energy is positive and not every intention aimed at us is harmless. People in many cultures believe that spiritual interference can come in the form of envy, resentment, or even unconscious negativity, which can subtly disrupt one's emotional, mental, or physical state. Protection methods are designed to act as spiritual armor, preventing this kind of energy from attaching itself to a person's life. Prayers, for example, are seen not only as communication with the divine, but also as a way to fortify the soul and create a shield of light. Daily prayers of protection, spoken with intention, are believed to call upon higher forces to stand guard against spiritual intrusion. Some traditions incorporate specific phrases or scriptures that are believed to carry power, creating a spiritual resonance that deflects harm. It's not about fear, it's about alignment. When a person is spiritually aligned and intentional about protecting their space, they become less vulnerable to external disturbances. Symbols also play a significant role in these traditions. From the Hamza hand in Middle Eastern cultures to the Nazar blue eye in Turkey and Greece, to red string bracelets in Jewish and Kabbalistic teachings, these symbols are believed to ward off the evil eye and negative intentions. They are not magical in and of themselves, but are considered vehicles of spiritual intention, tools that carry ancient wisdom and serve as reminders of one's spiritual protection. Their effectiveness is deeply tied to belief and consistency. Wearing a protective symbol, lighting protective candles, or placing sacred items in the home creates an environment of spiritual awareness that subtly shifts the energy within and around a person. Energetic boundaries are another essential practice, often less physical but just as vital. These involve the conscious decision to manage one's emotional and spiritual exposure. For instance, being selective with what you share publicly, limiting access to your personal life, and intentionally guarding your thoughts and emotions can all be forms of energetic protection. Many spiritual practitioners teach that the more open and vulnerable a person is without spiritual discipline, the more likely they are to absorb unwanted energy. By practicing mindfulness, meditation, and grounding techniques, individuals can maintain their spiritual center and reduce susceptibility to external influences. In some traditions, regular spiritual cleansing is part of maintaining these boundaries. This may include rituals with herbs like sage or Palo Santo, water rituals, or sound cleansing through singing bowls or chanting. These acts are believed to clear stagnant or negative energy and re-establish harmony. Whether done daily or in response to specific events, these rituals remind the individual that protection is an ongoing commitment, not a one-time act. Ultimately, the goal of all these practices is empowerment, to live intentionally, spiritually aware, and protected without living in fear. They serve to affirm that while harm may exist, so does the power to rise above it. Whether myth or reality, the evil eye exposes the power of intention, unseen energy, and the need to remain spiritually vigilant. This belief, found in various forms across ancient and modern civilizations, has persisted not because of fear alone, but because of the patterns people have observed throughout generations. At its core, the evil eye is less about a single gaze and more about what that gaze represents. Intense emotion, usually jealousy, that carries energetic weight. When someone sends envy, whether knowingly or not, that emotional force is believed to have the potential to disrupt another's peace, prosperity, or health. Intention is a powerful thing. It's not just what we say or do, but the force behind it that carries weight. Scientific fields like quantum physics have begun exploring how observation, thought, and emotion affect reality on a subtle level. While science may not directly acknowledge the evil eye as fact, it does not entirely dismiss the influence of energy, intention, and emotional frequencies on our surroundings. The evil eye then is symbolic of how unspoken feelings, envy, resentment, or obsession can linger and attach themselves to our lives. It serves as a reminder that what is unspoken is not always harmless, and that not all harm wears a visible face. This is why spiritual vigilance matters. We often go about our daily lives without guarding our spiritual gates, our thoughts, emotions, boundaries, and energy fields. Just as we lock our doors to protect ourselves from physical intruders, many spiritual traditions believe we should guard our souls from energetic ones. Being spiritually vigilant does not mean becoming paranoid or isolated. It means developing awareness, knowing who and what you allow into your space, and being mindful of the emotional residue people leave behind. When you begin to notice patterns like sudden fatigue, conflicts, or setbacks following excessive praise or exposure, it becomes harder to ignore the possibility of unseen influence. Cultural rituals of protection reflect this vigilance. Whether it's burning incense, using sacred symbols, or speaking intentional prayers, the act of spiritual fortification is one of empowerment. These practices aren't about superstition, they're about spiritual hygiene. Just like we bathe daily to remove physical dirt, spiritual protection rituals are seen as ways to remove unseen burdens that accumulate from daily life, social interactions, or emotional entanglements. The goal is to remain centered, intentional, and protected in a world that's often chaotic and energetically noisy. The evil eye also challenges us to examine our own intentions. It's not only about shielding ourselves from external harm, but also checking whether we carry jealousy, comparison, or resentment in our hearts. Spiritual vigilance is as much about what we emit as what we absorb. Are we unknowingly projecting negativity onto others? Are we cultivating gratitude or secretly harboring deception that may harm others energetically? In this way, the evil eye acts as both a mirror and a shield, exposing the subtle spiritual exchanges that often go unnoticed. Whether you believe in the evil eye literally or symbolically, it points to a deeper truth, that life is not only shaped by what we see, but also by what we feel, think, and transmit. To live spiritually vigilant is to acknowledge this unseen realm and choose to protect, cleanse, and align ourselves accordingly. So whether the evil eye is seen as a myth, a cultural belief, or spiritual reality, one truth remains undeniable. It highlights the unseen power of energy, intention, and emotion in our lives. We cannot afford to ignore the subtle forces that shape our experiences. From envy to admiration, from spiritual protection to self-awareness. This journey reminds us that vigilance isn't about fear. It's about alignment, clarity, and wisdom. As we move forward, may we guard our hearts, remain conscious of the energy we carry and attract, and never forget that not everything real is visible to the eye. Stay spiritually aware, stay grounded, and above all, stay protected.